Well, you see the happy hour logo. It's it's after 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm glad you guys are along there. So I turn the neon light on for you. A little sip of the beverage here and bring you into happy hour. It's a Steakhouse style happy hour, all right? Sorry a little bit late today. Been really swamped trying to get odds and ends done just with work and with school and all that. Jeff, Dan, Nathan, Jim, good to see you as well. Kevin as well. Everybody out there, you hear me? So the drill is, you hear me? Thumbs up. Also share this if you like. And, of course, follow us. All our social media channels. Glad you're along. My name's Dan Vaughan. You see right there, my neon name right there. And we're talking T-Bones baseball here on a Wednesday. It's the official video blog of your Kansas City T-Bones. Okay, glad you guys are along. Karen as well. Everybody out there checking in. We've got a lot of items today. We don't have guests today. We're on the OBS platform today. We're gonna move those guys to next week. Just the schedule, this Wednesday schedule for me is really tough because it's a 7:15, 7:10 out the door, school at 7:45, and then there until about 3:30, and then all that. So it's just and today I was in the science wing, and the internet was real rough there at TCA. So worked from behind all day. So I do apologize for that. Anyway, apologizing that not able to get to the guest, but it's a timing thing. Joe is right now, as we speak, Joe Calpietra will be doing his wrapping up his day of clinics and coaching. He does some personal one-on-one instruction in the Philadelphia area, has a handful of kids he works with, and it's a long afternoon. And of course, once school's out, the school day's done, those kids jump in to his to work with Joe. So that's all going on right now. And also, Chris Brown is going to join us too. Brownie is also doing a little baseball as well with young Brett. So hey, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. We'll move all that back. So we'll stay right here on OBS. Debbie, good to see you as well. Everybody check it in. All right, we're going to start off a little bit from the top. You probably saw this. It's still breaking because I've only seen it once. But it's a pretty big breaking news announcement. It's a pretty big deal. I'm going to give you the graphic there. This is probably about as big of a signing as I can recall that we're probably not making as big of a deal about it. We should make a bigger deal about this. But the T-Bones have made a major signing, a former first-round pick, a Wichita State wheat shocker as well, a guy who the name will sound familiar, I think, former first-round pick in 2014, and I'm going to just throw it up on the breaking news side, but you guys remember the young man named Connor Gillespie? I think you know who that is, right? Well, he's been the big leagues. Well, Casey is the brother. And Casey Gillespie, they're in the Wichita State kit right there, playing for the Tampa Bay organization with the Hot Rods in the South Atlantic League, was traded a couple of years ago from the Rays to the White Sox. There he is playing in spring training with the Rays a couple of years ago. And again, was most recently at AAA Charlotte with the White Sox. Little injury as well last year, but a former first-round pick. He is now a T-Bone. T-Bone signed today. Got a little bit more here. If I can pull this up for you. I was working on this press release. It'll go out tomorrow. You saw it on the website, but switch hitter. First-round pick, Casey Gillespie in 2014. Wichita State was a very big star there. Really, it's kind of, this is a real coup here. This is a guy that has been obviously a 40-man guy, but this is a guy that's very, very highly thought of. Scouts love him. The White Sox liked him so much they went and got him for the Rays. The Rays have kind of been the story of the big leagues. They've had a lot of bodies, a lot of moving parts. They're not afraid to move some of those young moving parts. They did that 2 seasons ago. In 16, Gillespie was the Rays minor league player of the year. It's all their stops. That's from top to bottom. He was the best player in their system overall. He was one of those guys you see in the Baseball America. And it talks about it in the story we'll have up tomorrow. One of those guys in the Baseball America top 20 prospect guys as well. But this is a legitimate prospect who has not become suspect yet. This guy's still in the prospect mode. So many guys who come our way, they were they're one-time prospects. Well, Gillespie is still a prospect. He was not a suspect yet. He didn't hit real well last year. I didn't hit very, we look at the numbers as I pull those up for you, hitting last year. He didn't hit 223 combined last year in AAA, 15 homers, still 62 driven in, scored 62 runs, 125 ball games between Durham and Charlotte. Not great numbers at AAA, but this is a guy that most recently, and again, as mentioned, in 2016, he was the Rays minor league player of the year, had 64 driven in, hit 284, Southern League All-Star in a very competitive league there. Organizational minor league hitter the month of May and August. In 3 straight seasons, he was a Southern League All-Star. This is a guy that has put up some numbers in the minor leagues overall. In that banner year 307, he hit at AAA in 47 games late in the year in 2016. As I mentioned, Baseball America prospect list all over the place in 15, 16, along there in 17 as well. So this is a guy that, again, comes to Kansas City from not a suspect, but still a prospect. You don't go from a top 10 list, a top 20 list in 17 to not being in any list in 2019. And just, you don't fall from grace that far. This is really more of a reclamation health project. This is a guy that'll help you initially and right away. And I guarantee you this guy's going to do some things in our league. It's exciting. Has a local tie with Wichita State. Is from Omaha. But this is a baseball player, baseball playing family, father, big leaguer, brother, and all that. He's got the pedigree. This guy is a huge signee. And it goes along with that whole thing that I talked about on Monday. The T-Bones are bringing in new blood to the American Association. And nothing against other teams. I'm not criticizing other clubs who bring in some of the same faces you've seen before. This is new blood. This is new stuff in the league, new talent coming in the association. So very good. Morgan saying, like the new Todd Cunningham, holy cow, great credentials. Yeah, Morgan, that's a very good point. You're looking to replace Todd Cunningham. It's hard to replace a Todd Cunningham. This young man here in Gillespie, and Casey Gillespie, is, again, I just want to get Chris Brown on next week to ask him in his recent memory, but as far as draft pick types, guys that are still prospects, this guy would fit that mold of probably be the top prospect, quote unquote, offensively that this franchise has had preseason wise. There have been some guys, there have been some very talented players, obviously. We can go the litany of them. Ryan Brett from last year, and Todd Cunningham we just mentioned. Of course, Scott Carroll on the mound. Tommy Collier. There's a lot of talent that's come through the last couple of years. I'm talking about a guy who's still considered somewhat of a prospect while the suspect label has not completely been applied here. Conventional wisdom tells you, yes, he's a suspect when you look at a prospect list, but the guy was a huge prospect just a short year and a half ago. So this is not a guy that comes to you with, where he spent 4 or 5 years just scuffling in the minor leagues, former first-round pick like that. This is a guy that the Rays moved, thinking they moved him when he was hot, and just scuffled with the White Sox organization and was released on the 23rd of March. And this was one of those things that Chris Brown and Joe Capiatro have been working on. And again, it goes into that same thing we talk about, that list of players, that Rolodex, they're always ready to go. And there's a guy right here that's going to really contribute, and it should be great. Todd was the Golden Boy. Big compliment he was. Awesome guy. Brad, good to see you as well. Brownie, good to see you as well. Hope that young Brett Brown is having a great early season. Saw his picture online, looking sharp. My broadcast partner as well. All right, little happy hour time now. You see my Twitter there. I want to give you guys a little bit, before I go to the association here, I want to give you guys a little bit of reminder as well. There's a T-Bone's Twitter, all right? Right there on the screen. You guys, if you're not following us on Twitter, you should be. All right, so T-Bone's Twitter, my Twitter, of course, Facebook. We're going to keep moving this thing because I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to follow us because there's going to be some times you may miss something, but if you're on Twitter, you won't miss it. So again, follow us on Twitter and give the T-Bones a follow, and also myself. I showed you a moment ago. Okay, association news, pretty quick today. Bring that up for you as well. But there was a notable signing this afternoon. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I will bring it up to you just to in case. And actually, it came earlier. I put the email up that I got from Sioux City. But Sioux City's had a few bodies coming and going lately, but they got a body coming and coming back. And it's, of course, former big leaguer Taylor Jordan is back with Sioux City. He was a big part of things in 15 starts, a 10-2 record, a 3.29 ERA, 95 2/3, 6 1/3. He's one of those guys that every night Sioux City go out there, 6, 7 innings, and then short things up with that bullpen. That's how good this guy was. He was the number one, and Taylor Jordan is back in the association and back with Sioux City. That's a big pickup for Steve Montgomery's bunch, and that's a lot like getting a Tommy Collier back. Maybe not. Tommy, I think, has the edge overall number-wise, but to Sioux City, he's their Tommy Collier. That's a big signing for the Explorers. You guys have, yes, and Instagram and T-Bones, yes. And by the way, Morgan, I know Morgan just chimed in there. We're going to have, coming up, I believe, in 2 weeks, if I get my schedule correct, a little bit of a social media boot camp to kind of go through on this program, how you can follow us on all the different channels. We're also going to put all that up on our website. And I got another little item to add to that as well next week. I've got a very major announcement coming to you guys in the next 7 days, but involving our social media and involving all of our medias in general. It's an exciting addition that's going to be coming your way shortly. It's actually out there, but it's not been officially unveiled yet, but it will be in the next couple of days, and I'll get to that. And we'll have a little social media boot camp and go through all the different channels where that stuff is. And we're going to be adding some things on the website as well. But yeah, Instagram at KC T-Bones. We'll go through all those channels. Again, I just want to get you guys, because right now, why I didn't include Instagram, to get the live content right now, we're in Facebook right now. The next step we'll take will be to marry Facebook and Twitter together. And we'll be doing these shows will come on both channels, and eventually it'll go to YouTube, and eventually you can also see it on Instagram down the road. But right now we're slowly growing it. But our next step, the baby step we'll take, we'll put this show on both 2 channels at one time. So that's something where in the past we had to tape 2 or shoot one and tape the other one, and I put one on tape on Twitter. This will be a dual show. You'll be able to find us on both, which is something I'm looking forward to. But anyway, incoming interns should tune in to follow the right. Yes, thank you, GMW. Yes, yeah, they should follow the right Twitter. Very, very, very good. Yeah, 6 weeks tomorrow. Brad chiming in. Brad, I just saw, my back's kind of giving me a little trouble here. Brad, I just saw, and I was going to save it because I didn't get a chance to download the photo, but Brad had just texted me as I was going on. I'm excited about, this is association news, so I might as well tell it to you. But I wanted to put the picture up. I didn't get a chance to download it. But I saw Denning was doing a little remodeling in the Cleveland press box, and apparently Brad has got Denning doing some work there. Gehring doing some work. And he was looking very sharp in a tie. Usually when you're doing the actual work as a construction guy, you're wearing a hard hat, but he was maybe the supervisor. They've got a new broadcast booth there in Cleveland. The One Big Happy Family's gone. They've actually got a little bit of a booth. Now, I will admit the photo looked good, but it also looked a bit little tight confines, like beggars can't be choosers, I'm saying. I know that, but it looked like a crowded elevator to me, but it looks good. Hey, I got 2 windows. I got a door to get in and out of. What more could you ask for, right? So, Brad, good to see that. But in 6 weeks, Brad's right. We get this thing rolling in the association. I know there's excitement in Cleveland, excitement around the league. But by the way, thank you, Cleveland, for getting your booth situation sorted. Back to the association quickly. Again, I mentioned Taylor Jordan to catch up in a couple of transactions as well. I mentioned this a little bit yesterday that Fargo traded Cody Regas to Lincoln for Jarabunda, the former closer there, Kevin Grendel as well. Also, a note, Adam Brett Walker was signed by Milwaukee. Remember the T-Bone sent the rights to Adam Brett Walker to Milwaukee, a handful of weeks ago. His rights, as he came back to the independent ball, went to Milwaukee. So Adam Brett Walker, who had just a short 3 games in Kansas City last year, will be the Milkman. And looking at other items here, Fargo signed T.J. Bennett on Monday. And Sioux Falls signed infielder Kevin Taylor of Sugarland for actually acquired him for future considerations. And I think everything else we pretty much covered last week. Don't see anything here just jumping out at me. Those are really the highlights. Of course, last week we talked a little bit more about St. Paul picking up Blake Schmidt, but that gets you caught up on the association news. And again, the headline is we got a broadcast booth there in Cleveland. Awesome. Thank you very much, Brad. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, mate. All right, let's kind of play a little catch up here with some odds and ends, and let's go. Well, actually, questions, comments, please fire them off. I'm ready to hear those from you. If you guys have things you want to discuss, questions about the team or whatever, we're actually going to roll through some items and kind of just catch you up in the week that's been. And again, it is 5 o'clock somewhere, but this is coffee, trust me. There we go. And we will, let's see here. Where should we roll down to? I mentioned a couple of items, too. Of course, the breaking news that Casey Gillespie is a T-Bone. I mentioned this yesterday that the T-Bone signed Eric Stout, former Royal. Eakin yesterday. We'll talk more about him in a moment. And, of course, this piece of news right here yesterday, Noah Perio Jr. going on Monday to Mexico. And the Mexican League, good for him. Of course, Noah Perio Jr. just a phenomenal run for the T-Bones last year. That great trade that you look back on that trade now, the trade with St. Paul for Zach Walters, the head-to-head, Noah Perio Jr., it was a pretty close race, but Noah Perio Jr., had the better, slightly overall numbers, and most importantly, his team won the American Association. So I would say that's a pretty good deal, but good to see Noah Perio Jr. moving along there as well. Also mentioned that yesterday, Tim Hardy, former Astros farmhand, a lefty, big guy. This guy's a big lefty, 6'7", 250 pounds. This is a big fella, and saw some video on him. Boy, a big kid, and classified as a rookie, so he will be a big help as well to the roster makeup. Seeing that, so that's kind of where we're at the moment. A couple more little house cleaning items as well. You've got the 2 righties that signed over the course of last Friday, Walter and Magliaro. Those 2 guys, and we're going to talk more about really both of them, mostly Walter, but we'll mention them in a moment when I give you guys the projected, at least at the moment, where the roster stands. Have that for you. And we weren't done yet. The T-Bones also yesterday mentioned Stout, but also Adam Atkins, a right-hander. Of course, Stout the lefty, Atkins, a young right-hander from Texas. He is a former Mets farmhand. Those 2 gentlemen will be part of the T-Bones going forward to spring training. They signed over the course of Monday, so that's a little house cleaning as well for you. And then I mentioned this little piece of note right here, Cody Winarski, and I told you we'd talk a little bit more about him today, and I'm going to give him his due. Cody will retire from baseball, we do believe. And he will, of course, he will leave with the all-time T-Bones save total in a career. He will have 32 retiring. That is the most for a T-Bone. He will also, and I'm figuring this up right now, he's got, and I'll pull this up real quickly, but give me a moment. But Cody will finish up with 78 ball games as a T-bone. And I was just pulling this up a moment ago. I want to double check and make sure I'm right on this because the save total is correct. But appearances, let me pull this up for you guys. Appearances, he's going to put him number 2 all-time in appearances. Jonathan Krissa is the all-time leader at 90. But Cody will be at number 2 in appearances. Of course, a 2-year career, 78 appearances. That's number 2. As far as, again, as I mentioned, saves, he took DJ Johnson's spot of 27 saves, which came over the course of 03-04. But he will have 32. That is the records that we'll leave, what Cody Winarski will leave with. His footprint on this ball club, I would say, is pretty firm. He's going to be, when we start talking about all-time 10 and 15 and 25-year teams down the road, he's going to be a guy you're going to have to consider to be your closer. And he'll be hard-pressed to replace him, but the life will go on. But wishing him the best. Young man was got his degree. He's working on his master's degree. Just a phenomenal future for him in the down the road in the quote unquote real world. Heck of a nice young man, and it could be happier for him. But Cody Winarski leaving with the all-time saves record. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a chance to, as I kind of kick back here, more the back, maybe a little trouble here. Jeremy, good to see you as well. What do I think of Bryce Harper? What do I think of Bryce Harper? Well, he's a heck of a ball player for starters. I don't think anybody's worth that, personally. That's a whole nother really show, conversation where Major League Baseball is right now as far as where the player, well, not just where the whole thing sits between the owners and the players. You're heading these salaries and what can they keep up? Can they not keep up? Some guys are getting shortchanged. You're seeing some things happening that haven't happened in a while, and there's some clouds on the horizon. What happens? Anybody's guess. I did see that Bryce did mockingly clap to the crowd in Washington last night, and that they're fans. They have a right to be ticked off. I don't know what the deal was with him, although what I understand, I will tell you this, from what I've read in a couple of publications, one I believe was one of the Washington papers, that the offer to Bryce Harper was pretty comparable with what he got in Philadelphia, except what I understand is the big kicker of the deal was the Nationals put the deferred money down the road. I mean, we're talking 25, 30, I've even heard 40 years down the road. And, there's no guarantees in life that you're going to live that long. You should in this day and age, but you never know. But the money was deferred down the road so far that the money was not deferred. It was closer, it was not nearly as deferred in Philadelphia. The money was more up front. And so that's what I hear was a big part of the contract. That's just my thoughts. I think the Nationals fans are upset. I don't blame them. I think all things being equal, he probably goes back to Washington if he gets that money in December. But again, I understand that the deferred money was down the road, way down, where Philadelphia was willing to come up. And, Philadelphia's got a lot of cash in hand. It's been my experience, I think a lot of us know this, that those big high-ticket items, when you do spend the money, you've got to get a delivery. You got to deliver, and you got to deliver pretty quickly. You can't wait around 4, 5, 6 years, hope it happens. The Cubs, I think, are having a little bit of a second thought right now after a week of the season. They've got Darvish for a lot of money, and a guy that did you overpay there? I mean, that you're never overpaying in this game because you pay the market rate. But won't that money go somewhere else down there? That's what I'm saying. It's always a hard call. You put that money out there, financial commitment. By the looks like the Phillies are going to be good. And they have a lot of talent with Bryce Harper. It's going to be the right thing. But I'm not being cheap. It's not a cheap thing here, but frugality and developing your farm system, and then plucking those veterans when you're ready to go. That's where I think that it should be done. But again. Jeremy asking, how was the trip to Cooperstown? It was great. Bucket list trip. I suggest several things. If you're a baseball fan, and I'm going to take Cody off there. You guys have seen Cody for a while, so we will take him off there. But if you guys are baseball people, there's several things you must do. One is what I really believe is Williamsport, the Little League World Series. That's a great trip. That's a really, really once-in-a-lifetime deal. Had a chance to go there a couple of years ago. Loved it. Cooperstown is right there. Even smaller town, a beautiful area. Just a scenic drive from New York City, 3.5 hours is beautiful. We drove it in the winter. Beautiful snow. The lake there in Cooperstown was iced over. Just a really cool little town. Great vibes, stores, restaurants, and it looks like a throwback, to use a baseball term. But it was great. Jeremy, I could have spent another day there. I mean, I was really rushing through there. I got to spend one more day there, but I think those are two bucket list items that people miss. Everybody wants to go to Wrigley and go to Fenway and all that. I think that those are on the list too, but those two spots got to be on your baseball list as well. If you were a real big baseball person, that's what I would suggest. So, Jeremy, going to see Andrea as well. Beverly, good to see you as well. Beverly, I was out at TCA today. How about that, huh? Crazy. He even had, you're getting old when you're substitute teaching and you have seniors in your class whose parents you went to school with in the same class as you were years ago. So you're getting old when. All right. Questions, comments, keep them fire away. Jeremy, good stuff right there. Let's see here. Where are we at now? We were flying through catching up on the different odds and ends. Let's get to where the roster stands now, okay? Let's do that, because that is where we probably should start. Let's go with the pitchers. We've got 13 pitchers right now. Here they are. And they're in alphabetical order. The highlighted ones, if you can make out the highlights on your screen, those are the ones I project as starters right now. I think of that bunch, you'll see one, maybe two more get a chance in a piggyback style start in spring training. Remember, the 7 spring training games are all there. Yeah, Mike Messina is a PA guy. Yep, Jeremy, you're right on about that. Adam Atkins, who the rider of the team just signed, and a young man out of Cedar Hill, Texas, a rookie. Dylan Baker, we came over the last week as well, out of Alaska. Jesus Balaguer, the young Cuban, who I think has got going to be a real sleeper in this bunch. I think he's got something. I've seen some video of him. He's got some. Of course, we know what Tommy Collier's got. He's an ace, and he jumps right in there. Marcus Crescentini, great spot for Marcus. He finished strong. He's going to be an option late with Joe Filomeno on the left side. Those two guys, righty-lefty, give you a late inning option. I think that will be hard to beat in this league this year. I mean, a guy, a lefty and a righty combination who could come in the 8th, 7th or 8th, and then to a closer role. Perhaps both could be closers. They both could do that. Balaguer also is closed as well. You've got several guys on this list. Hardy's worked to the back end of the bullpen as well. Magliaro has worked to the back end as well. Some guys that have all closed ball games. But Robbie Gordon, another career minor league reliever, probably sets up as your middle guy, your 6th and 7th inning guy perhaps. Hi to Dan's wife, thank you very much. Jim's in school now. She actually was on a moment ago, Jeremy, but she's at SMU now and already in class at the top of the hour. And Tim Hardy, as I mentioned a moment ago, the lefty, big guy, 6'7". And then here's a couple of starting candidates. And you see Jackson Lowry, I put him in a bold as well. I don't have this on any authority, but remember Jackson got some spot starts late last year. He would be an interesting guy to throw in the rotation as a different guy in a 3-4 game series where you see a different type of pitcher, a different guy, different delivery, different size, different arm angle. And I think Jackson Lowry, who started in college as well, was a starter at Arkansas, would have a chance to make the club as a starter. Dustin Hurlbut, right above him, out of Kansas, of course, local guy. He has been a starter and reliever both. I believe what I understand about him, he is trying to transition back to a starter. And that's the idea. That's one reason he's with the T-Bones. So look for him to kind of probably slot in that rotation behind Tommy Collier. That seems to be the plan. But again, this is all. We'll get this more or less from next week from Joe. And I mentioned Magliaro has been a career reliever. He's the young man who was a position player in college. but went into open tryout with the Rockies and got signed as a pitcher. He actually, along with Bacalar, those two gentlemen both were position players earlier in their careers and both transitioned to relievers. So I've been a reliever, late inning guy. Out of Monroe, New Jersey. And, of course, Eric Stout, the former big leaguer. I think he also is going to get a chance to start as well. He's done starting and relieved. He was, of course, the big leagues. He was a part of the bullpen with the Royals, but he also started at AAA a couple of seasons off and on. He was mostly a reliever, but has done some starting. I can see him also in that rotation. I can see it Collier and then Stout, and then Hurlbut, and then Lowry, or Corey Walter, and then Lowry. Corey Walter out of Virginia, Wheeling, West Virginia, rather, as a guy who's also got some starting experience. The beautiful part about this whole list of pitchers here is these guys all have versatile experience. You got a lot of guys who work both the starters and relievers, and that's where they sit right now. So 13 pitchers now. You only, of course, only going to have 22 players, but 13 now. The 25 the T-Bones have signed right now. So that's where the T-Bones sit, and we will take you to camera number 2 here, and I will pull that up because I wanted to see what how that looks there. But we're at camera number 2. That's the cool camera. This is the different angle. Needs some lighting, I guess. But you're going to see more of this summer during the season. We'll have it set up with some dual cameras there in the ballpark. But the T-Bone's pitching staff, I think, looking sharp. So we're going to transition now and go to the where the position players stand right now. Give you a little background of what we have so far. And if you'll let me kind of just pull right over here and do that. And there we go. Offensively, this is where the team stands position wise, and here we go. Position wise, right now, Kansas City. In alphabetical order, Forrest Alday out of Houston. And Nick Basto was signed back before Christmas out of Florida. Ryan Brett, no introduction there. You guys know Ryan. Ryan will be out in left field. We'll talk about that in a moment. Christian Correa, and I got a little something on the catching situation that I've picked up today. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But Mason Davis, of course, he was a big hero last year. Mason Davis. Casey Gillespie, the new signee, as Gillespie joined the T-Bones. He will be a huge part of things. I think you plug him right at first base. One thing about Gillespie I didn't mention earlier, he was a very good defensive player in the minor leagues with both the White Sox and with the Rays. He was very highly thought of as a defensive player. And we often overlook that at our level. I don't know why, because that's a huge part of things. If you can't field, you're in trouble. But we don't really talk about defense as much during the hot stove as we probably should have. I mentioned the other day how Joey Vaughan signed with St. Paul. His defense is huge, saving probably a half run a game, a run a game perhaps. Well, a guy like Gillespie can play first base like he does, can do the same thing for you. Then Roy Morales will probably platoon, be your number 2 catcher. I would think Sean O'Malley, who is a utility guy, will be able to play all kinds of positions. And what we've seen Joe Capietra do with guys like O'Malley, with guys like O'Malley and Basto, guys that can contribute other places, Mikey Reynolds, people like that, is that he will platoon them around and rotate them DH position, day off, DH position, day off. Oftentimes, that's what he wants. Joe likes to give his guys days off. And he just wants to give everybody get a day off here and there. I remember last year we were in a stretch where I think Tyson played something like 50, 40 straight games and just needed a break, or 30 straight games, and that happens like that. You want to give a guy a breath though. So Jacob, good to see you as well out there. Rest of the card, list of the position players. Mentioned Daniel Robertson, probably going to play center, former big leaguer. This guy is going to be going to be a real tough out, especially where I think he's going to bat in a moment. And I'll give you that to you in just a second. Of course, Dylan Tice, you know what I think about Dylan. Mikey Reynolds, versatile guy. I think he's going to probably be your utility, more or less your utility guy over the long haul. And Darnell Sweeney, who I think will also be you've got some tough outs, and you've got some guys, if they get on base, you got some guys, if they get on base, they're going to be just trouble. And, I mean, you've got a really the way this thing's set up, and Joe talks about this too, guys, he doesn't go out and say, okay, I want speed this year. I want power this year. He goes out and he finds the players that are available, and he kind of molds the team from that, because we've talked about this. Remember, the 17 team, nowhere near the speed of last year's team. It's just the way it worked out. The 17 team, a little more pop. There was a little heavier bats early on in the year, and for the most part, during the year. But pulling you guys' comments up here. But Joe will kind of see what's out there. And the trend is, at the moment, this thing's trending toward being a pretty good club on the base paths. And the best part about it, it's a thick lineup. It's a tough card from top to bottom. And I'll show you why right here. If we pull that up for you, the lineup, where I think it looks like at the moment, that I think Tyson Davis are interchangeable at 1 and 2. I can even see a situation where Mason bats 9th. But I recall last year, for a stretch for several weeks, Tyson Davis for 1 and 2. It was a really tough pair of outs right there. I think Daniel Robinson's would be a Daniel Robinson type, batting 3rd, probably playing center. I put outfield because I think he probably plays center, is my guess. And then Casey Gillespie, just plop him in that 4 spot, right? Just plop him in there, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, but that's where you're going to plug him in the middle of the lineup. I mean, this is a guy that's going to hit some home runs. He had 16 home runs to lead his team 2 years ago, or sorry, 2007, was it 2017? Let me pull that up for you. But he had 16 home runs, in Double-A in 16. So this is a guy that's going to knock some balls around, and going to be, going to have, especially in that ballpark, switch hitter at that ballpark, the short porch, the monster, and nothing's going to be safe. And so Casey Gillespie sliding in there. Then you got Ryan Brett, and I think Brett benefits from Gillespie and vice versa. You're facing Gillespie. Well, I can't really take a chance here. I gotta face him. I can't pitch around him because Ryan Brett is an on-base machine. He sets things up again for you. Or you put a Sean O'Malley in front of Brett, the Brett behind him. Ryan's more of a table setter, but you reset the table again with Brett. You got O'Malley, then Darnell Sweeney, and then you got kind of a combo of Basto and Alday, then Christian Correa batting 9th. I've got a pretty good authority. And that's that Christian Correa will be the number 1 catcher. That's what the plan is. They hope that the club hopes that Christian will break spring training as the number 1. That's the idea. Remember, I told you guys I thought there might be a catcher out there that didn't work out. But what did work out was Gillespie working out. So with Gillespie working out, and the T-Bone's not really needing any more veteran, older talent, Correa will get a chance to catch just about every day, and he'll be the guy to take over that job, we believe, going forward. It's his job to lose, basically, is what I understand going forward. And then kind of a platoon in the DH spot. But again, the DH, all will slide around a bit, just depending on what Joe does rest-wise. Speaking of Joe, there's little Joey Thompson out there. Good to see him out there. And we'll bring you guys back here to me. So that's the way I think the lineup card looks. Again, it's all flexible. And it's just me guessing here, but you've got some depth. And what I love about that lineup card, looking at it top to bottom, it's deep. I mean, you've got some guys there that there's no easy outs, and that's the thing I love about it. You're not just throwing up, a traditional lineup where you got your top 4 players that kind of just from there it drops down to your other 3 or 4 or 5 toward the bottom of the card. It's solid up and down that lineup card. And like I said, I can make an argument that I can move Ryan Brett around. I can move, I can even move Mason Davis and Dylan Tice around. I mean, I think those 1 and 2 spots are pretty solid, but you can move some guys around. Robertson could even slide down to the 5 spot. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities there. I can see Sweeney batting third. I mean, but you've got Tice, Davis, Sweeney, and Robertson all can run the bases. All those guys can run the bases with authority. So you got 4 threats in your base paths already. I can't recall a time when Kansas City, in my 3 years, have had that kind of depth running the bases. And I don't recall a team, perhaps maybe Sioux City 2 years ago, that had that kind of depth as well. So that's where the team stands right there, and that's where that's kind of how I see it. But again, it's a bit of a. I mean, again, looking at it, I look at it again. I mean, you can that's your line, that's your overall roster right there, and just you've got. Looking up and down, you got guys that you got a couple guys who played the league before. Davis, for example, Tice, guys, and then you got, of course, Ryan Brett, and Christian Craig. You got some guys that have not been in this league. That's why I love what Joe's done. That he's got this new blood that no one's seen. It's exciting to have that, and you're not just going out there and rolling out and say, okay, what third baseman can I find? Okay, let's just sign this guy. And I love that about what Kansas City has done so far. All right, so questions, comments, bring them on here. We're going to close this thing out here shortly because it's about time for going to the ballpark here. But you got a question or comment, please fire them away. And I'll fire off a few items as well as we move along and close this thing out. First off, from the ticket front and promotions department, this coming from Casey Mueller and Company. Of course, Casey, the best in the business, what she does, running the ticket office there at T-Bone Stadium. Of course, that ticket office, as you folks hopefully by now know, that ticket office, of course, you can get those tickets online, but the St. Luke's box office is open 24/7. That's right. The St. Luke's box office open 24/7 or at 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. And the tickets are rolling right now. Of course, group sales and the tickets, individual tickets have all been rolling. But they got this special Dick's Sporting Goods plan, 4-game championship mini plan. That's 2 choice level tickets to 4 regular season home games, 2 choice tickets to 2 exhibition games. You get a $20 Dick's Sporting Goods gift card, $10 T-Bones bucks. And you can't beat that, $49 or an 8-game plan, the Dick's Sporting Goods 8-game plan, the Champs Mini plan, 2 choice to 8 games. You get the 2 choice to 2 exhibition games, $20 from Dick's, $10 the T-Bones bucks, and it's $79. Limited quantities for both. Those are great deals right now. You're looking and say, you know what? I don't want to go all in the season ticket-wise, but you know what? I want to be out there as much as possible. And these are 2 great plans, 4-game plan and the 8-game plan, both from Dick's Sporting Goods, and it comes with that Dick's Sporting Goods. You pay $79, well, you're getting $20 back already, and it's free stuff from Dick's. So you guys got to do that. Check that out. The Dick's Sporting Goods package. There's a couple more items on that as well. As they're on sale now, best price guaranteed. We partner with Dick's to offer the best price of fun well done in those 2 mini plans. And again, 4-game plan and an 8-game plan. There's your dates right there for your exhibition dates. They're all right there. This is also, if you want to check it out, there's a graphic, I believe, on the web, not on the website, but on the Facebook. We'll get this up on the website as well for you guys on our ticket specials. But again, the Dick's Sporting Goods Championship mini plans this year, and go see the good folks at the ticket window. And then we've also got this little note as well. A couple of items. First off, the Baker versus Mid-American Nazarene game on April 12th. You've also got the Chicago Pride against the USA Pride against the Chicago Bandits. That'll be coming up. Getting the Baker versus Nazarene on April 12th. That's a 6 p.m. start, and that is the makeup for the game that was washed away. And then the 15th and 16th of July at T-Bone Stadium. 5 years of pro softball at T-Bone Stadium. That's all there for you as the T-Bones entertaining again one more time. And just part of that fun well done. Tickets for both available at tbonesbaseball.com or at the St. Luke's box office. at the ballpark from any hour, 10 to 4. That'll be open tomorrow. Happy hour time. About to close it out. I'll give you a couple moments, give you some questions, comments. I'll kind of kick back. But glad you guys have joined us. It's been kind of a blow through it all here. A lot to get to. It seems like every week we're just getting more and more. We've had, let's see, 2, 4, 6, about 8 players signed the last week. And, of course, the news today, the big news, that Kansas City has got Casey Gillespie, former Wichita State player who is a former first-round pick, switch-hitting first baseman, who will be exciting to watch. Looking forward to having him in T-Bone's colors coming up. So just a couple more moments here, guys. You've got any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you. But if you guys want to ask away, I'm here. Let's see here. Jeremy's saying that Steve Clay. Yeah, there are a lot of good ball players from Pennsylvania, Jeremy. A lot of good ball players. I'll throw this out to you guys. I'll ask this question as we close, and I'll give you a couple moments to answer it. Who are you most excited to see this year? What player that the T-Bones have signed are you fired up about? Is there somebody you really are looking forward to seeing, and how you feel about that? So let me hear from you. Let me hear what you guys have to say. It's about interacting as well. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What player are you excited? Maybe it's a guy coming back. Maybe it's one of the new guys. I think it's what's for dinner, Dan? Mine will be dollar hot dogs, I believe, at the Rangers ballpark, but I'm going to be a good 20 minutes late because I'm still wearing my school clothes. And I got to break this set down and then get out of the ballpark. And it's from here in Dallas to the ballpark. It's about 40 minutes and no traffic. So probably going to be a little traffic heading out that way. So Rangers and Astros was my dinner tonight, Mr. Hart. But good question, though. But anybody excited about T-Bone's baseball, let me know what you're excited about and who you want to see. Breaking news, of course, right here. We'll have it for you all the time right here on the Facebook Live. Like as I mentioned earlier, I've got exciting news coming for you next week. Something you guys probably either A, don't remember me talking about, or B, maybe you never heard us talk about it. And I think you're going to be excited about it. It's going to make your life following the T-Bones even easier. So that'll be something that I'm excited about. We'll have that for you next week. Of course, all the social media channels are open. We'll have a special social media crash course and where we're going with that coming up as well. And next week, we will join you again. Hopefully next week, back during the normal lunch hour for our steakhouse. But if not, we will do it when we can. There goes Max. He can't go without him. He's got to bark, right? You all right, bud? He's down the hallway. He's in our bedroom. He's got on the perch, and he's watching the neighbors walk by, the dogs and jog and all that. So, you guys have no questions, comments, nothing today. You guys have been quiet, but I'm glad you got through it with me. I appreciate everybody for joining us. You guys, the reason I really believe we're the best because you're the best. The fans who follow the T-Bones, you guys are great. Just exciting times. The championship T-Bones, just a great off season. And again, I can't tell you right now we're going to win it again. Why not? Right? I'm going to tell you this. This thing is going to be competitive. It's built to be competitive. It's built to be competitive year in, year out. It's built to compete. And I think you're going to really enjoy what the T-Bones had to offer this year. So any breaking news, I'll give it to you on Facebook Live. I'll get follow us on Twitter and on the T-Bones Twitter as well. That is right down here. Where is T-Bone's Twitter? T-Bone's Twitter. There we go. T-Bone's Twitter right there. It's not scrolling, but should be. Time for dinner, time for baseball, and time to say goodbye for now. But again, thanks for joining us. And hey, Sizzle, man, we're getting close. 6 weeks away, mate. 6 weeks away. You guys have a great evening. We'll see you breaking news. We'll see you next Wednesday right in the Steakhouse.